Seen more ambulances are mobile to assist with the transportation.
National Prosecuting Authority head Andy Mutibi says his office will be intensifying its crackdown on organised crime. Mutibi made the commitment while briefing the media on his strategy for the next 2 years in Pretoria today. In the briefing was that first one, given by Mutibi since he took over the position from retired NPA head Shamila Batoyi. On matters referred from the Madlanga Commission, he says the NPA has already assigned officials to the task team investigating those matters. Mutibi says the focus will also be on kingpins and organised crime syndicates, including those linked to the Tembisa Hospital tender scandal.
Tembisa investigation that have been referred to the NPA. And indicated that they need to be attended to, including where there was a referral of Maumela. So all of those will receive attention, I can assure you.
The Madlanga Commission has revealed that top cop Richard Shibiri purchased Gucci and Louis Vuitton shoes just a few months after receiving a payment from alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala. Shibiri has maintained the 70,000 rand payment was a loan to fix his son's damaged car. Shibiri says he didn't have enough money to pay for the repairs despite his bank records showing that he and his son had over 100,000 rand at the time. Tabiso Koba reports.
Suspended head of organised crime at SAPS, Richard Shibiri, has continued to face grilling over the supposed loan he received from Vusimuzi Matlala. Shibiri told the commission he was in financial difficulty at the time he took the loan and was forced to sell his cattle to pay Matlala back. However, bank records show a few months after receiving the money, Shibiri bought 19,000 rand sneakers at Gucci and 3,000 rand sandals at Louis Vuitton in Sandton.
As I decided I wanted to use money to build in something, I thought I mustn't use the money which will be loaned to me. I'll use it and then I'll pay it in December. So that is what I decided.
Then it doesn't explain the Gucci and Louis Vuitton purchases, because it shows that you had money for those things.
Shibiri says the Gucci sneakers were a gift for a friend who bought him a Zegna suit the previous year. He says he got the Louis Vuitton sandals after exchanging an LV wallet he got as a birthday gift and paid the 3,000 rand difference. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Some Westbury residents say they slept through the night for the first time in months without hearing a single gunshot. They have attributed this to the presence of the SANDF, who were in that area yesterday. Together with the police, soldiers raided several homes looking for illegal firearms, drugs as well as contraband. Police made several arrests for violations during that operation. Jabulile Mbata reports.
The streets of Westbury are relatively quiet today, with residents staying indoors as the rain pours. A resident who has lived in the area for 5 years says he is pleased to have seen the soldiers yesterday because the area is rife with gang violence. He says in recent months, almost every day, there are gunshots ringing out in the community.
We just know that such and such person was shot dead. That's all we hear now. And sometimes it's gang related.
He adds that while they know the deployment is temporary, they hope during this time the gang leaders are arrested and removed from the community. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Westbury.
And the president of the Ukraine has begun his official visit to Romania. As part of the trip, meetings are planned with Romania's president as well as the country's prime minister. According to reports, the visit will underscore the joint efforts of the two countries to deepen defense and economic cooperation. But the visit comes at a time of uncertainty over planned peace talks between Kyiv and Moscow. The talks have been spearheaded by the United States, but recently derailed by the US-Israeli war with Iran. Gold is trading at $5,184.73 an ounce. The rand is at 16.54 to the dollar, 22.13 to the pound, 19.11 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $91.98 a barrel.
In Brakpan, roadworks causing delays on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City. There's also slow-moving traffic heading into Bedfordview. That's in Edenvale R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Umbilo Secondary School in Wentworth, KZN, has been evacuated following a suspected gas leak.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to 702 Afternoons. I'm Khomotso Modise. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja. It's a chilly Thursday in Johannesburg. I hope you are doing well and you're keeping warm. We've got quite the show prepared for you this afternoon. Coming up, we've been, I want us to have a conversation around whether you've been hired for a skill that you were not completely confident in. I mean, how did you secure the job? Did you overstate your capabilities on your CV or during an interview? And how did you fare once you bagged the job? Did you sink or did you swim? I'm taking your calls on that. And then for our Beliefs Matters, we're speaking about Skhothane culture. It's a term that's been used in recent times to describe the practice in South African townships among the youth. It's a subculture centered on competitive, flamboyant displays of wealth. We saw that displayed at a Paris Fashion Week recently. I want us to have the conversation around whether it is being misunderstood. And then in the final hour, it's a Thursday, so we have our consumer ninja, Wendy Nola. Today we talk about the online shopping gamble and what happens when what you ordered is not what arrives. That's our show this afternoon. On the team, we've got Abele, who's our technical producer in studio. The lovely Pachita is taking your calls, and Relebogile is watching the roads. Mbali Dlamini has your news updates. We'd love to hear from you. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. Send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Or you can get in touch with me on X, and my handle is at @Motso_Modise. That's at @Motso_Modise. That's the show this afternoon. Good afternoon.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
So I don't know about you, but I am definitely feeling the temperatures drop. And it's not just the cloudy weather and the gloomy feel outside, but it's actually feeling cooler. And I know that it's still, I keep saying August when I mean autumn. It's still autumn. It must be the AU at the beginning. It's still autumn. So there's no need to have your boots out yet and your coats out yet, even though I've been seeing colleagues already, out with their boots and coats. But I think it's still early days for that. Maybe a light knit, maybe a little jacket, but I am fighting the urge. I don't want to lie. I was very tempted today to whip out, something like a jacket, a heavier jacket. I don't know. How are you processing this shift? It's clear that we are moving into cooler days. All right. So, here's a conversation that I've been having, and it's been occupying my mind. It's a conversation around skills. So, there's a lot of data out there around how men and women approach the issue of employment and whether they decide to apply for jobs. And generally, the data that's out there speaks to men being braver and bolder, and applying even though they don't meet all of the requirements. What I've seen is that, and I think this is a study by Harvard Business, that men are likely to apply for a job even though they meet 60% of the requirements, and women often wait to meet 100%. And if they don't meet all of the requirements on the job spec, they will not apply. But I've been wondering, have you ever been hired for a skill that you were not completely confident in? So this is a job, something that you had said you saw and you decided to apply, and some of the skills on there. I know one that's popular is Excel, right? On job descriptions, it will say be proficient or be able to confidently use Excel. And people always apply and they say they can use Excel until it's time to use Excel, Microsoft Excel, and then they struggle. But have you ever been hired for a skill that you were not completely confident in, where you basically just took the risk? And how did you secure the job? How did you get the job? Did you overstate your capabilities on your CV or during an interview that, yeah, you know me, I can do this. I'm certain I can do it, even though you knew you didn't know how to do it, or you were not quite sure, not quite confident. How did you fare? How did that work out for you? Did you end up sinking once you were in the job and you found or you were employed, or did you swim? I've seen people walking into spaces where they know nothing about the work, but because they're able to apply, in terms of principles, or they're able to, learn quickly, then they do well. But there are some specific jobs that are far more technical, that need you to have the technical expertise. And some people are very lucky, to get the job, and then it's time to deliver and they struggle. Have you been in that situation? Why did you, I suppose, it might not be fair to ask, why did you apply? But I'm interested in what pushed you to apply for that job, even though you knew that you were not completely qualified for it, or there were skills in that description that you were not sure about, but you still chose to apply. And did that work for you? I'm interested in people that have done that, because number one, I wish I was that brave, where I could see that maybe here I might not be able to deliver this completely, but still apply for the job and challenge myself to learn. But I do think that sometimes it's a gamble, and you get into these spaces and you're quickly exposed. Have you experienced that? Have you been in that situation? The number to dial is 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. A lot of the comments, people that have said, I see them coming in right here on Facebook, in fact, many of the people said they've done it and it's worked for them. Someone saying, I was hired as an inventory planner, never studied supply chain and logistics. I learned and was able to execute. I have the experience now, thinking of getting a degree in supply chain. That's lovely. It's amazing news. I wonder, were you transparent when you were in that interview process, or did you have to tweak the truth or be creative with the truth in order to bag the work? And maybe you thought, I'm going to do that just so I can secure the job, and then I will challenge myself to learn while I am working. And I'm not sure there's anything wrong with that. Someone else saying, moving from construction to healthcare IT systems implementation was a wild experience. I believe I swam. There's a lot of success stories here of people who've done it. I do want to know from the people who say, maybe they shouldn't have done it. Maybe they shouldn't have done it. Maybe they shouldn't have, taken on the job when they knew that they couldn't do some of the requirements, or they didn't possess some of the skills, and they live in regret. I want to hear from those people as well. I see another comment of someone saying they became a lifeguard and they swam from there. I do see some of your voice notes coming in. Let's take some of them.
Hey, it's Tanya. I love this topic of work and skills and that. I can honestly tell you that probably in the first 15 years of my 30-year career in corporate, I was hired on attitude and not skills. But come hell or high water, I soared and I learned and I figured things out. It's interesting now that I've got 30 plus years experience and skills and knowledge of my career path, that now I am not a suitable candidate for any positions anymore. And it's always, I do not match the criteria, which is quite interesting. But anyway, it is life. But I can tell you that, and I have adopted that principle of hiring on attitude and firing on competence. So when somebody asks for guidance on that, I will always say, well, can you work with this person? Have they got a can-do attitude? And they say yes. I say, well, then go for it. You've got nothing to lose, because a willing person is always a very big asset, I believe. Anyhow, great show and great topic. Have a lovely afternoon.
702, good day. Look, responding to your question, that is the reason why we say this thing of telling people to write CVs and then putting lots of information that is unnecessary. It's a waste of time. It's a bureaucratic process or an operation of rejecting people. I studied mechanical engineering, and this particular employer, he was running an electrical engineering factory. he hired me, and then he said, "I'm not going to go through all this. And I can see your that you can do, as long as if you can do things. I want to take you through the program and see if you can do things." And then surprisingly, and then electrical engineering not being my specialty, I excel in that role. I excelled more than the people who were there before me. So it is all about putting people in a training program.
I love that. I love that. I mean, it's such a success story. Hiring on attitude, right? The fact that you show a positive attitude, that you show willingness to learn, that you want to show up, that you want to learn and master the skill, that can get you the job. And I think it's, we downplay that because sometimes we think, oh, my CV looks good, or, what's on paper, it looks good. I look like an ideal candidate. And I do think that there are people out there that prioritize wherever they can, really, depending on the systems in their companies. I do think that there are people who prioritize whether they feel like they can learn, they can teach this person, and whether the person has a teachable spirit, right? And I do think that that's a reason to encourage people to apply, even though you don't qualify or you don't think you qualify for the job fully. Apply, because you don't know what the manager is looking for in terms of the priority. Maybe there's a technical skill on there that you don't possess, but maybe they think you can learn it on the job. And I think that's very important. I love the success stories that I'm hearing. It also speaks to people who are just willing to give others a chance, of course, within reason, wherever they are able to. I'm sure that there are minimum requirements that they hire people that are hiring or hiring managers would not want to compromise on. But I think the principle of giving people a chance and giving people a shot, even though they know that they don't qualify for everything, or they don't fully qualify on the job or tick all the boxes on the job description, I suppose. But, there's things that are important and they possess those skills. I love that. I love hearing your success stories. I do see some of your messages coming in, more of them trickling in. Someone on Facebook saying, I've never been that lucky, but I can navigate Microsoft Excel. Nowadays, they don't even hire for existing skills. Yeah, Microsoft Excel is a popular one where people often say, they say they can use it. I mean, I'm not even confident, like 100% confident with Excel. I don't know those formulas, and maybe I have applied for jobs that required Excel, and I thought I'll learn on the job. Right, we're taking more of your calls on this 011-883-0702-072-702-1702.
Hi, 702. This is Kamo here from Johannesburg. One thing I've learned in this life, if you're going to be honest all the time and not exaggerate your skills, even on your CV, and say sometimes that you can do things when you can't do them. Look, I'm not saying people must apply to be pilots if they can't fly. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying people must apply to be doctors if they are not doctors. People will die in those situations. You can't experiment. But a lot of jobs in corporate, you can learn on the go as you go. These things a lot of these jobs don't even need degrees. I'm even talking about in the engineering space, which is the sector that I'm in. A lot of these things you can train people into them. So just get in there. If you don't know how to use Excel, you'll watch YouTube videos, you'll ask your colleagues. And also in the company, you are going to be inducted. Nobody's expecting you to just get there and start working. So there's going to be that 1 to 3 months of induction. Yeah. So just apply. Just apply. We've been applying. We are doing these jobs and we're excelling at them. Have no fear. There's no time for fear in this life.
Yeah, what are your bravery, my brother? I need it. I need half the bravery and confidence that you have. And I actually think a lot of people would love to have the confidence that you have, because I think the fear sometimes is, okay, you applied for the job, now I must show up for the interview. And there, the truth about my capabilities are going to be exposed in front of that panel. But I love the fact that you're saying a lot of this can be learned. And really, it's just giving people a chance. It's giving people a shot, especially in jobs that you can teach people. And I'm hearing engineering quite a bit. You're the second person who's spoken about engineering. I wonder if there are many success stories, of this kind and of this nature in the engineering space. And I hear you, 100%. We're not saying pilots and doctors, right? These are incredibly technical skills, and you need to have learned and studied. We're not playing with people's lives here, but there are those jobs that you can be taught on the job, and I love the fact that there's that bravery element that's coming through from you to say, apply. You'll learn the Excel formulas when you are inside. Just apply.
Good afternoon. I took a major gamble because I studied PR and marketing, but I couldn't land a job in those, and I was stuck in customer care for 7 years. And then around the toughest time of my life, I decided to apply for a marketing position, and it wasn't a junior position, and they actually took me, and I faked it. 5 years later, now I'm a senior and I'm in digital marketing now. I gambled on myself, but it was a risk. I had studied for it, but just getting into the industry was quite hard. But by the grace, I gambled on myself and I won. And I'm happy with my job right now.
I've never been more excited for a stranger. Well done. Well done. That really sounds, it's the confidence for me, because that's what you sound like. You sound like you are confident. And I like that you say you faked it, because sometimes you must just fake it. Sometimes you must walk into that space like you know what's going on and figure it out as you go. And you will figure it out. And you know what, Ne? Sometimes people don't even know that you don't know, because you're so good at faking it. I'm so happy for you. I'm very, very proud of you. And it sounds amazing. These are the success stories really that make it worthwhile, and that encourage people to say, let me take the leap of faith. Let me try. And I love the fact that you're saying, by the grace, right? That's amazing, right? But it's clear for you that your confidence worked for you, and your ability to just say, let me try and let me do it. I do think that sometimes we are too judgmental, self-judgmental. So we are too self-conscious. You think, oh, I will be exposed. The truth about me. I think we refer to it as imposter syndrome. Where you feel like an imposter. I wonder if that's something that you're experiencing, where you enter into spaces and you feel, oh, I'm not an imposter. I don't deserve to be here. I'll tell you a little story about myself too. I mean, when I walked into the newsroom as a journalist, I didn't have a journalism degree, right? And I was expected to start, and I was taught on the job as well, right? And I'm realizing this actually as we're having this conversation. But there is that imposter element. It's something that I felt when I started. It's still something that I feel now, where I feel, oh, can I do this? Can I actually execute this? It's a big part of the faking it, as you say, where you say, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to fake it. It takes a level of confidence for you to be able to do that and to fight the little voice in you that keeps telling you that you're not able to do it. Let's take more voice notes.
Good day, CEO Pretoria. I've sat on the other side of the desk and always employed the person with the necessary skills. I only made 2 mistakes in my life when I employed people on attitude. That's 2 times I employed people on attitude. That was a big mistake. My question always is, if we need a pilot for our president's aircraft, are we going to hire somebody who's got a brilliant attitude or one who is competent? For me, competence is always stronger than attitude. Attitude is a plus over and above competence.
702. Let us clarify it. Engineering is very complex. That one we must not rule it out.
Yeah.
So we are not saying people they must just take chances. The senior engineer will supervise everything. Will take you through the training program, and then you'll be able to do some of the tasks that are engineering related. Making an example, from my previous employer again.
Yeah.
I because of the years of experience, I had to train graduates from Wits University, from UJ, coming with degrees, but when coming to the actual hands-on experience, doing the real job, with those degrees, they still had to go through the process of doing certain things practically to gain that hands-on experience. So it's a balancing of those forces to get the job done, so that we don't end up excluding people in the country of ours of a higher unemployment.
No, I hear you. I hear you, my brother, 100%. I don't think anyone is saying hire a person who's completely, unqualified and cannot do the work. I don't think that's what people are saying. But I think they're saying prioritize in instances where you can, of course, prioritize the people that have a great attitude and that can learn, especially in spaces and in jobs where you can learn on the job. Someone else here saying, hi, Khumso and the listeners, I've applied to be an administrator and I was criticized. But what is so funny, my boss asked me to train new staff. I was surprised. According to my judgment, she did not like me. I was not hired by her. You see, like the work of an administrator, I do think that this is work that you can learn. It's work that you can learn. It's work that it's a skill that you can develop over time. And it's something that you can become over time. Thank you for the clarity on the engineering, because you're drawing a distinction between the senior engineer. I don't think anyone would randomly leave, for example. You see, I know nothing about engineering, not a technical person. The last science I did was in high school. I don't think you'd take Komodo, for example, and put her in an engineering post, or even to become a senior engineer, or even to become a junior. I don't think you'd be able to do that, even with my great attitude. Love to learn, by the way. But I do think that there are jobs, even within engineering, where people are able to learn. All right, we're speaking about whether you have ever been hired for a skill that you were not completely confident in, and then you learned as you were going. And did you learn very quickly? Did you win? Or did you sink or did you swim? And do you regret applying for the job without all the skills that you require, or that was required by the job? From what I'm hearing, most of you are saying you swam, you faked it till you made it, and it worked out for you. And I love that. It really speaks to applying the confidence that you need. All right. We're going to be taking more of your calls. It's 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. It's time for the news headlines. Mbali Dlamini, good afternoon.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good afternoon. Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Holomisa insists the deployment of soldiers in parts of Johannesburg yesterday was properly coordinated. Holomisa has been responding to criticism from Parliament's Portfolio Committee Chairperson Ian Cameron, who questioned the operation. Yesterday, dozens of soldiers supported by police embarked on raids in Eldorado Park, Riverlea, Westbury, as well as Sophia Town. National Prosecuting Authority head Endi Motibi says his office will be intensifying its crackdown on organised crime. Motibi says the focus will be on kingpins and syndicates, including those linked to the Tembisa Hospital tender scandal. Motibi made the commitment while briefing media on his strategy for the next 2 years in Pretoria today. And family and friends of late COPE leader Musiwa Lekota have gathered to celebrate his life at a memorial service in Bloemfontein. Lekota passed away at a hospital in Johannesburg last week after a long illness. Some COPE supporters and members of the public are also in attendance. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading into Brakpan, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays on the N17 eastbound, approaching Carnival City. Traffic also a bit sluggish driving into Bedfordview. That's on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights. That's in the Ilovo area at Melville and Chaplin. Also, traffic lights still not working in Lone Hill at Lone Hill Boulevard and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clement Manyatela.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Was it tough to decide to leave? It was the most friendly ending, I think, in the history of broadcasting, because inevitably it ends in tears one way or another, whether it's 702 or anyone else. I just knew. So for 2.5 years, I told 702, I said, look, I want to end it. I want to end it. It's coming to an end. And I said, I'm in no hurry, but I'm just telling you it's coming to an end. So what they did was, we don't want you to go, but we'll tell you when it's
how many years before you left?
It was 2.5 years before I left.
Okay.
Of course I was sad to go, but I just knew, like the end of my rugby career, the time is right.
Legendary broadcaster John Robbie.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Celebrate the power of African storytelling. Join Freedom Park in collaboration with the South African State Theatre for the 13th Ungasali Storytelling Festival on the 14th of March 2026 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. Experience powerful performances through poetry, theatre, music, and traditional storytelling as we celebrate the voices and stories that shape our heritage. Tickets are available at Web Tickets for 150 Rand, the Ungasali Storytelling Festival, where African stories come alive. Don't miss it.
When you buy a quality pre-owned car from Motor Select, you know it's in good condition with full service history and has some cool features. Buy yours from now until this Saturday and you'll also get something extra, like up to 70,000 Rand cash back. So don't just buy a car, buy one that gives you something extra. Get to any participating Motor Select or visit motorselect.co.za. T's and C's apply.
I heard she's got a recruiter team working 24/7.
That one, she has a secret supply of talent.
I knew it. She's definitely keeping a secret from us.
Nothing mysterious, guys. It's SA Youth, South Africa's largest youth online recruitment platform. Fast to post, effortless to use, and effective every time.
Recruit on the portal to potential, sayouth.co.za, powering South Africa's youth workforce.
702 and Momentum bring you the series edition on 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja. Unpacking life's real conversations.
We actually conducted research. Okay, the research was called The Success Women Want, and we conducted this research in 2025. And in that research, it highlighted, the report actually highlighted that confidence is one of the top predictors of success. And yet women, as we know, are not as confident in the workplace as men. So the She Owns the Success campaign is actually a campaign that empowers women to boldly claim their accomplishments and achievements. It's a campaign that we've been running for 7 years, to just provide women with the necessary tools to enable them on their journey to success.
Don't miss the series edition, brought to you by Momentum. Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. on 702.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
Welcome back. This is 702 Afternoons. My name is Khomotso Modise, in for Relebogile Mabotja. And you know what? The people here in studio are not very nice people. They've been laughing at me for saying faked it till you maked it. Okay, faked it till you made it, right? And we're speaking about jobs and skills. We're speaking about whether you have been the person who's been hired for a skill that you weren't completely confident in, and then you had to learn it along the way. And how did you fare? How did you do? Did you sink or swim? And are you glad you took the risk? Let's listen to some of your voice notes.
Hi 702. Yeah, so I'm Nevin from Johannesburg. I always work for the railways, and my position from freight to passenger had a lot of changes and a lot of swimming that I had to sustain. It took time, but I think if you put your mind to it and you say money comes later, let's do the hard work first. It always works. Thanks, 702.
Hi, Khomotso. Interesting topic. Thank you so much for this topic, and I think it's pretty much engaging. It's pretty much engaging in the sense that I wouldn't say it's faking. For me personally, I never faked anything. I had the qualification, I had the knowledge and the know-how and the understanding. The only thing that was left was for me to just execute. And I believe with every role that I've gone into without the experience, I've executed to my optimum best. So I would say people must just have the confidence that you spoke of. And I believe with the confidence, one becomes competent. And when you're competent, you're unstoppable. And you can just deliver so much. So, yeah, great topic. I'm enjoying it, actually.
Thank you so much for those voice notes and your experiences. I think it's it's really great. It's encouraging, at least for me, to hear of people that understood that I might not possess the skill now, but it's a skill that I will be able to hone, a skill that I'll be able to develop over time, and I will then be able to execute the duties. And it speaks to just being given that opportunity, being given the shot, and there are people that are very good at seeing that this person is able to or will be able to do the work, even though they don't tick all the boxes currently. And I've been speaking a lot about the confidence because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to you saying, you know what, on this list of skills that are required, maybe I only meet 60% or I only meet 70%, but I'm going to apply anyway. And I'm going to show up for that interview anyway. And hopefully when I get the job, I'll be able to develop and to learn along the way. It's also interesting for me to hear the mix in the responses, how it's, quite balanced from the men and women. And that's particularly because of the data that's out there that speaks about how men are far more bold, far more brave when applying for jobs that they don't really qualify for, right? Or don't completely qualify for. These are people that say, I only meet half of the requirements here, but I'll apply anyway. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many, get ahead. And, now all of a sudden, this person is a CEO and there's Khomoso who has fully qualified or, had 100% or had 90%. The man who had 60% or who met 60% of the requirements applied. Khomoso who met 90% of the requirements didn't apply because she was waiting for 100%. And the 60% ends up becoming the leader of the department just because of the fact that they were confident enough to try. I hope it's a message to someone out there who's wondering whether they should be applying for that job. If someone who's sitting there thinking, am I good enough? Do I meet the standards? You will meet the standards eventually. Don't close the door on yourself before it's closed, on you. I suppose that's the message for this afternoon. Thank you so much for your responses. Thank you for your WhatsApps. Thank you for your voice notes. It's been really, really encouraging. I'm taking lessons from this conversation, and I hope that you are too. To just try in all parts of my life, not just in work, but in all parts of my life. I'm going to say, you know what? Let me just try. And I don't think fake it till I make it is a bad term. I don't think it's a dirty term. I think what it means really is you might not be it now, but it doesn't mean that you won't be it tomorrow.
702 Belief Matters. Exploring culture, traditions, religion,
and the beliefs that shape our world.
It's time for Belief Matters right here on 702 Afternoons. And I'm looking forward to the conversation that we're having today because of what I think it's such a nuanced space. I think, there's so much around Skhothane and Skhothane, and I don't think it's as simplistic as we sometimes think of it as. So I'm really excited about it. Recently, at the South African fashion house, I think it's Makhosa Africa, yes, they had a showcase, their fall-winter 2026 collection. It's called Culture, the Sea Culture collection at the Paris Fashion Week. And I'm going to describe what I saw on that video, right? So it's a group of dancers dancing on a Makhosa carpet, and they are pouring custard all over the carpet while they dance. And that's a practice that you may have seen and that you would usually see in South African township youth. It's a subculture. It's been called subculture, I've seen. And it's called Skhothane. So the person would be called Skhothane, the collective term would be Izikhothane, Ikhothane, depending where you're from, Dikhothane also, if you're going to Sothify it. And the people, so the people who participated in it are called Skhothane. You'd often see them destroying luxury items, clothes, shoes, expensive alcohol even, and sometimes even custard. I think they've been known for the custard quite a bit. Now, as expected, this has sparked a lot of debate on whether this is a representation of South African culture, if it's the type of culture that we'd want to export to the world and display on international stages. And my guest for that conversation is Anele Nzimande Maphanga, who's a cultural commentator, and she's joining me in studio. Anele, thank you so much for your time.
Hi, Khomotso, my dear listeners. Thank you for having me.
Interesting conversation that we're having here today.
Yeah.
I want just to start with defining Skhothane because
Yes.
I've tried, right? So
Yes.
I've tried to define it and to describe it. The definition online is that Skhothane or Ubukhothane is a township youth subculture centered on conspicuous consumption and competitive, flamboyant displays of wealth.
Yeah.
It also says the adherents, so these are the Skhothane, would boast through dance-off, high-end fashion, and the ritualistic destruction of luxury goods to prove financial superiority. Is that a fair description?
I think that's a fair description, but I also think Skhothane is about rebellion. It's about self-identity in a world that typically others people from the township, right? And we assume that they cannot afford, and therefore their existence in the world is often invisible. And so when you get access to these beautiful clothes, this expensive alcohol, it's about asserting that I'm here and you're going to notice me. And I also matter regardless of the background that I come from. So I think we sometimes just focus on the conspicuous display of wealth, but it's really about being seen, not being invisible.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of origins, I started seeing and hearing about Skhothane, maybe 15 years ago, where you'd see a lot more, generally young men, in luxury designer wear. They had a signature, and I don't know if that's still the case right now, but they had a signature look. It was the floral T-shirts, I think, and the colorful
shiny
shoes.
T-shirts.
Yes,
Correct.
right. And sometimes they would wear unmatching shoes.
Yes,
I think that was a statement also. There's a lot of debate around where it actually originates from, because the idea of showing opulence is nothing new.
Exactly. Yeah. So Skhothane specifically originates from Gauteng and townships like Katlehong, Tembisa, and then it spilled over to Soweto. I remember when I first saw them on Cutting Edge, I was actually in my mother's living room in Durban, and I thought, what is this? I've never seen anything like this before. And it got us all talking, and it's been a decade and we're all still talking about it, right? And I think that's quite impactful and influential of Skhothane, who are just young people. It's youth who don't come from the best background, who come from an underprivileged society. And when you even think about the Oswenka, so in KZN we have, in the apartheid days, you actually had Zulu elder men who were called Oswenka, who would wear these interesting hats, suits, to assert themselves in a culture that also diminished them, right? In the apartheid culture where you didn't feel like you were masculine enough, you didn't feel like you were a man, you didn't feel that you mattered. So I think fashion has always been about being defiant and not being invisible and telling the world that you matter and you're here. I think fashion is always about self-identity. And if you remove the discomfort around the waste and the opulence, that's what it is. It's young people in the townships who also want to express themselves regardless of whether they have the money to do it or not.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to Skhothane, you or the Skhothane culture, you cannot divorce it from the wasteful, element, right?
Yeah.
Because really at the center of it, and even what was displayed at the Paris Fashion Week, is that element of it. It was the, I'm going to, quote unquote, destroy this, waste this, to show that I can afford more.
To prove my worth. right?
To prove my worth or to prove my wealth?
To prove my worth in spite of the fact that I might not be the wealthiest person. So I can also access something that is expensive and my identity is not tied to that. So I can also destroy it. It's a very interesting, it's a duality, right, that's there. And I think when we look at it, it doesn't make sense. But for me, I ask myself, how is that different from, say, when people go to Konka and they have these bottle wars? Because it's class games, it's status games. And for whatever reasons, when we see people that we think shouldn't have access or shouldn't be in these spaces, we are so critical. But think about the Formula One. Lewis Hamilton wins the race. He is standing at the podium. They give him the most expensive bottle of champagne. And what does he do? He opens it and he wastes it and he pours it all over on his teammates. And it's this moment of celebration. And I think it's in the same light, right? It's about celebrating, it's about status. And we are so hard on the poor for being wasteful when these are practices that you see in hip hop culture, even in sports culture, that are just a part of it, and we just accept it as normal.
Yeah, I suppose that leads me to my next question around what ruffles feathers so much about the Skhothane, so the young person in Davidton, the young person in Soweto, doing this. What is it that makes society so uncomfortable about it? Because the discourse that I've been seeing around this really is this is not a depiction of or representation of who we are.
Well, look, I don't think it's a depiction of who everyone is, but it is a depiction of a certain subculture that has been quite influential when it comes to fashion, when it comes to music, when it comes to style. I think we haven't seen that kind of creativity in a while on runways, just in general. But I also think there's a lot of policing that happens when it comes to the people that we consider poor. And I was just thinking about the fact that trad life and rural living was not popular for the longest time. It was not aesthetically pleasing. And suddenly Nora Smith comes into the fray, and trad wives come into the fray. And now it's been repackaged as aspirational, as luxury. And now everybody wants to do slow living. And for me, I think it again goes to the same point where we police a lot of township culture until it's been sanitized and repackaged back to us. I think if a big French fashion house was to repackage this and make it aesthetically pleasing, people would actually say, oh, this is very interesting. And I think in the process of being creative, it is going to be messy. It is going to be different. And maybe we need that discomfort, right? Not everything has to be aesthetically pleasing. And for me, that's why I loved this integration of Skhothane culture at Kosa's Paris Fashion Week show, because it was so unexpected. And I think we need that today.
We're talking about Skhothane or Ubukhothane, and really, I mean, we've been trying to find the best way to describe it. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get the video that we're referring to on our socials so that you can, pop in there and have a look and then weigh in. I want to hear from you. What are your views on why Ubukhothane or Skhothane makes people so uncomfortable? But also, just do we sometimes misinterpret what they are and the subculture that is Skhothane or Ubukhothane? Does the wasteful element make you uncomfortable? Is there a place? Is there a place for a display of this kind? And what are your views on this being seen on international stages? Because that's exactly what it was. It was at Paris Fashion Week, and there's been a lot of debate about whether or not this is something that we should be showing to the world. The number to dial is 011-883-0702 and send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. My guest for this conversation is Anele Nzimande Mapanga. She's a cultural commentator. I suppose then, I think you bring an important point across, that it really comes down to who.
It comes down to who. Yeah, I think we are so good at policing what should be mainstream and who should be the person that makes it mainstream, who should be the custodian. And I think that's done over the last couple of years is it's produced these beautiful feeds. Everything is aesthetically pleasing, but nothing moves us. We're not able to connect. And I don't think you necessarily need to approve. I actually like the fact that not everybody agrees.
Yes.
I love the fact that it's creating debates. And I think that's the role of fashion. And that's the role of somebody like Umaxhosa. I think it would be a shame if Maxhosa only took, what we deemed or what we considered as sophisticated and palatable to the world stages. He was able to take the Xhosa culture and make it premium and make it interesting, right, on a global stage. And I see this integration of townships, Skhothane culture in that same light. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's interesting. It gets everyone talking, which I think is important.
Yeah. Someone saying, I would say Skhothane culture or practice is deeply rooted within the African continent, considering how most politicians behave and dress when they go abroad to borrow money from the Europeans that simply live a simple life. And the youngsters that seem to have modernized it simply mimic them. Africa is poor mainly because of our mindset. That's someone's view there.
The mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I don't know why it's okay for us to put on a Lululemon expensive suit, to buy our expensive matcha and our coffees, which is also status games and a display of wealth in a different way. But when the middle class does it, it's something that we embrace. So again, I would say, I don't think it necessarily makes people poor. I think if you're poor, you also don't want to be invisible. You want to be seen. You want to say, I'm here, look at me. And that's what the subculture is about.
All right, I think we should take some of your calls. I see Nomusa, you're in Johannesburg and you want to weigh in. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your call.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Was really thrilled to hear the topic that you have today. So I'm actually a first-time caller, so I'm a bit nervous.
Welcome. Thank you for calling. I'm so glad we got you to call.
No, proper.
Yeah, go
Thank
ahead.
you. So my views on Skhothane, I think we need to go back to the name itself, the reason why they even exist.
Yes.
Because according to my little knowledge of the name, it means that we are showing off. We are showing people that we can afford more than they can. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
That's
However,
right.
I see no value in that. How is that gonna improve community too? Because we are there showing them, obviously, yeah, you don't afford to buy milk, but we can bath in ultra milk, custard, or whatever. So my point would be, can we just go back into the basis of why we're living as human beings? Do we live to show off, or we living for material stuff, or there's a greater purpose in our existence? Generally, I believe in love. I believe in showing the people around you care, support, and just sharing. If someone else doesn't have the means and you do, why not share with them instead of showing off, or ukbakhotha as they call it?
Yes.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents worth. I hope it's motivating people to actually share and be kind. You're not getting anything from being the best in showing off.
Nomsa, thank you so much for your call. Listen on the radio as I continue the conversation with Anela. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I suppose, yeah, it's the element of the wastefulness, right? That I suppose that she's expressing, right? That instead of taking this custard that looks, I mean, it's great and it looks amazing that you're pouring it everywhere, but how's about you share it with someone who needs it?
It's theater, it's drama, it's a performance. And I think we're being a little bit too literal here. I think that is a fair critique. There is a lot of wastage, but I think I gave the example, right, where if there are bottle wars in the club, it's that same kind of theater. It's about asserting your dominance. It's about saying, I am better than you. And I think a lot of the things that we do as human beings are around asserting how much better we are than each other. That's how the world is, whether we like it or not. I think it's fair to criticize, but also we need to be honest and truthful. And that's why I was saying that the status games are across the board. You know, if we go to the parking lot, people are not making choices based on, I want to share. I want to show up in the world as someone who is modest, as someone who is humble. We're making choices if we go into this parking lot based on how we want to be perceived.
Yes.
And not everybody can afford to, get an expensive car. So for that community, that's how they can showcase, that's how they can display their wealth and their means. And I don't think that's something that we should be too critical about.
Yeah. I suppose that answers the question of, why people should move to understand Skhothane culture before judging it. And I like how you're calling people out, actually, because you're saying you also have your Skhothane tendencies in your everyday life.
We all do. If you go to Sandton City now, you'll find 28-inch, 16-inch wigs, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I'm also I'm a wig girl on some days, and I think we're very quick to say, when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to Ultramel, this is not sophisticated. This is something that nobody should be doing because it's wastage. But I think the whole point is spending money on something in order to appear a particular way. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, fascinating conversation. Anele, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Anele Boss Babe, and on TikTok as well. And it's Anele Mapanga on LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
And on Substack, you also have
I am on Substack. Yes, I am on Substack. So you can read the full article. I love the conversation and the debates. But I think for me, my biggest push is, it's important for us to go into the margins and to tell the uncomfortable stories about ourselves as well. It doesn't always have to be aesthetically pleasing. And that's what I love about this Maxhosa Fashion Week moment.
Lovely talking to you. Anele Mapanga is a cultural commentator. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Deputy Minister Bernice Swartz. As part of electioneering, she's launched a bread donation campaign. So it's one loaf of bread per family. And the Citizen's headline is, "One loaf, one vote." So I want us to have a little bit of fun with this. If you believe the ANC are out of touch, shall we help them with some slogans?
We will try and fix this country one slice at a time.
Better the bread you know than the butter you don't.
The ANC's new logo should be a better loaf for all.
The ANC, breaking bread and so much more since 1994.
How about better late than never?
Whoa.
Huh? Give us this day our daily bread. They're just loafing around, aren't they?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5. It's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm Bali Dlamini. Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Holomisa insists the deployment of soldiers in parts of Johannesburg yesterday was properly coordinated. Holomisa has been responding to criticism from Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee chairperson Ian Cameron, who questioned the operation. Yesterday, dozens of soldiers supported by police embarked on raids in Eldorado Park, Rivoli, Westbury and Sophia Town. The operation follows a commitment by the President to step up the fight against crime in hotspot areas. Mongezi Koko reports.
The SANDF deployment has drawn criticism from Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee chairperson Ian Cameron, who says the committee was not informed about this operation and has questioned its legality. But Holomisa says the operation was properly coordinated with senior SAPS and SANDF commanders holding discussions before the troops were sent into communities. He says the deployment also follows the provision of the Constitution, which allows the President to deploy the Defence Force in support of police to maintain law and order, provided Parliament is informed. When asked whether the soldiers were given specific training to conduct the raids, Holomisa said the responsibility lies with operational commanders.
That instruction was issued and it is left entirely to the commanders. So the best person who would answer you on that would be the Commissioner of Police or the General of the SANDF.
Holomisa added that the President did write to the Speaker of Parliament about the deployment. The Presidency has yet to issue a statement responding to the concerns raised. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
National Prosecuting Authority head Endi Mutibi says his office will be intensifying its crackdown on organised crime. Mutibi made the commitment during a briefing on his strategy for the next 2 years in Pretoria today. The briefing was the first one since he took over the position from retired NPA head Shamila Batoyi. On matters referred from the Madlanga Commission, he says the NPA has already assigned officials to the task team investigating those matters. Mutibi says the focus will also be on kingpins and organised crime syndicates, including those linked to the Tembisa Hospital tender scandal.
Tembisa investigation that have been referred to the NPA and indicated that they need to be attended to, including where there was a referral of Maumela. So all of those will receive attention, I can assure you.
The Madlanga Commission has revealed that top cop Richard Shibiri purchased Gucci and Louis Vuitton shoes just a few months after receiving a payment from alleged crime boss Vusimuzi Matlala. Shibiri has maintained the 70,000 rand payment was a loan in order for him to fix his son's damaged car. Shibiri says he didn't have enough money to pay for the repairs, despite his bank records showing that he and his son had over 100,000 rand at that time. Sokoba has more.
Suspended head of organised crime at SAPS, Richard Shibiri, has continued to face grilling over the supposed loan he received from Vusimuzi Matlala. Shibiri told the commission he was in financial difficulty at the time he took the loan and was forced to sell his cattle to pay Matlala back. However, bank records show a few months after receiving the money, Shibiri bought 19,000 rand sneakers at Gucci and 3,000 rand sandals at Louis Vuitton in Sandton.
As I decided I wanted to use money to building something, I thought I mustn't use the money which will be loaned to me. I'll use it and then I'll pay it in December. So that is what I decided.
Then it doesn't explain the Gucci and Louis Vuitton purchases, because it shows that you had money for those things.
Shibiri says the Gucci sneakers were a gift for a friend who bought him a Zegna suit the previous year. He says he got the Louis Vuitton sandals after exchanging an LV wallet he got as a birthday gift and paid the 3,000 rand difference. Tabi Sokoba, Eyewitness News.
Family and friends of late COPE leader Musiwa Lekota have gathered to celebrate his life at a memorial service in Bloemfontein. Lekota passed away at a hospital in Johannesburg last week after a long illness. Some COPE supporters and members of the public are also in attendance. Alpha Ramushwana is there.
Cynthia Lekota, the wife of late COPE leader Musiwa Lekota, slowly walked into the venue at the memorial service with her head bowed in deep sadness. Surrounding her were her children, who've also expressed that they've been struggling to come to terms with their father's passing. Lekota's niece, Alice Kula, says her uncle sacrificed time with his family to join the fight for the liberation of oppressed South Africans.
As we grew up in the family, some of us did not know Ntate in person.
simply because he was already in jail when some of us were born.
Some of the known faces at the memorial service include Deputy Health Minister Joe Phatla, ANC Free State Chairperson Xolisi Dukwana, and ANC veteran Tokyo Sekgwale. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Bloemfontein.
And the UN Refugee Agency says up to 3.2 million people have been displaced inside Iran since the Middle East war erupted. In a statement, the agency says most of those displaced were reportedly fleeing from Tehran and other major urban areas. The United States and Israel launched the first wave of attacks on February the 28th. As a result, Iran then embarked on retaliatory attacks targeting multiple countries around the Gulf. The UN Refugee Agency says it is now adapting its response in that country to growing needs. It says it's also working with authorities to assess emerging requirements. Gold is trading at $5,184.73 an ounce. The rand is at 16.54 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 19.15 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $92.08 a barrel.
Brakpan roadworks still causing heavy delays on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Ilovo and Melville and Chaplin, as well as in Lone Hill at Lone Hill Boulevard and Main Road.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Holomisa insists the deployment of soldiers in parts of Johannesburg yesterday was properly coordinated.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. This is 702 Afternoons. My name is Komoto Mudise in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon. It's 8 minutes past 2. That means we have just under an hour together. Of course, we're together on 702 Afternoons between 1 and 3 p.m. We've just had such a lovely conversation around Skhothane culture and the culture really of this display of opulence, and I really enjoyed that conversation. I know that it's going to be an ongoing debate, as I've seen online. That conversation is going to be uploaded on the Prime Media Plus app as well as on the 702 YouTube channel. So continue. I mean, you can go there, you can watch it again, listen again, and share it with the people around you as that conversation continues. In the second hour of the show, we're going to be having our consumer ninja. That is Wendy Nola. She's a consumer journalist, and of course, because it's a Thursday, we have her on the show for the consumer feature. And today we're speaking about buying online. You know, while it's become almost, it's a part of our culture. It's what we do without thinking sometimes. You order food online, you buy clothes online, you get almost everything you need online. But what happens when what you ordered is not what arrives? We're having that conversation with Wendy in just a bit. Of course, later on, we take all your questions, your consumer, questions, challenges that you may have been experiencing. You might be going through a bit of a dispute or a back and forth with a brand. So get in touch with that. Wendy is with us for the next hour and she's taking your questions. 011 883 0702 072 702 1702.
702.
Nola knows.
So buying online has changed our lives so much, mostly for the better. I mean, I'm not even going to try to explain the convenience because, once you start, there's really no going back. You have things that are delivered to your doorstep, and from something as simple as groceries. I know people that haven't set foot in a grocery store in ages, to clothes as well as other items for the home. But sometimes you are left incredibly disappointed after having bought something online and you just didn't get what you had expected. For that conversation, we're speaking to Wendy Nola, who's our consumer journalist. Wendy, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Kamotso. Great to be with you. Yeah, it's something we all do. It was actually COVID, unsurprisingly, which ramped up our online shopping statistics as South Africans. We within a year we got to predicted levels for they thought would only happen in 5 or 6 years. So that was the big impetus. But yeah, I think if you are doing it wisely, if you are sticking to major retailers that have earned a reputation of getting it right most of the time, taking responsibility when they don't, then you're okay. But if you think about it, there's a lot of trust and faith that we have in that e-retailer when we pay them our money. So we can't see the product that we're buying beforehand. You can see, there's no photo or video that's going to tell you the whole story, right? So we trust that what we see is actually what we're going to get. We trust that they're going to deliver that product when they say they will, whatever that delivery window is. We trust that that's going to happen. And we trust that if there's a problem that they're going to honor 2 pieces of legislation that protect us. The one is the Electronic Transactions and Communications Act, which governs online purchases to the point that from the day that product's delivered to you, you have 7 days to send it back, whether it's defective or not. You just get to say, you know what, the color looked different in the picture. I don't want it. You don't have to give a reason, actually. You just send it back. The but is that you have to send it back at your own cost if they don't choose to absorb that cost as part of doing business, right? So if you think about it, if it's quite a heavy item,
yes,
bulky item, even like some like sturdy boots or whatever, they can weigh quite a bit. Now you send that back yourself via a courier, it's going to cost you quite a lot, and that's going to sort of eat into whatever refund you're going to get. So that's something to bear in mind. And then the Consumer Protection Act kicks in. You have 6 months to send something back. This is whether you've bought it online or in a store, if it develops a defect. So within 6 months you can send it back. And at that point, if it's an alleged defect, the company must pay to if it's online, they must absorb that cost of getting it back, right? But are they going to follow the law? Are they going to play by the rules or not? So it's a lot of, we don't know until we have the problem, for sure. And when the problem does arrive, it often, in some cases it's an out-and-out scam where they've just cloned a legitimate company's website and, they just were going to take your money and never send you anything. But in other cases, they just not really all that keen to follow the law and give you the recourse that you're entitled to if it's a change of heart within 7 days or it's a bigger problem, it's a defect and you want your money back. So choose carefully, do your homework, because it's often at that point that people realize that they can't really get hold of the company. They might have just an email address, which is illegal, by the way. If you're trading online, you have to put your physical address, a phone number, all that has to be there.
Yes.
That's the first thing you should look for. Not many people know that has to be there, right? So before you place an order for something that you really, really, really want, please just go and look at what detail is there. If you don't see full contact details, in my view, that's a red flag, because they should be understanding what laws and regulations apply to them, right? And they should be following them. So that's a red flag.
And would full contact details be what? Like a number, an address, and email
must
address?
Be a physical address.
Okay.
Yeah, physical address, email address, and a phone number.
Okay.
So often it's just an email address. Well, you can send 45 emails a day. If they're not answering, what do you do next? It's just an email address. And I would go as far as, if it's a company you haven't dealt with before, to actually, let technology be your friend. Do some Google Maps.
Yeah.
If it doesn't look like a kind of address that could house that company, you could easily put in numbers in the same road into Google Maps, find out what businesses are there, and contact them and say, is this business there? And they might say, oh, yeah, the people always coming. coming here, they didn't get what they ordered and whatever. I mean, how long does that take? Sort of like 5 minutes maybe, to protect yourself. It's when you're using if you choosing to do business with an online retailer that you have no track record of, and your mother, brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend hasn't, had personal dealings with them, then you really need to spend some time protecting yourself. Yep. So, I have a case study.
Yes.
In fact, I mean, I get. You can imagine how many complaints I get. But when I get several people emailing me about the same company, I mean, I'm just one journalist. That to me is a red flag. Then I think, okay, maybe there's something going on here, and then I'll go into Hello Peter, and if I see more there, then to me it says this is an issue that I need to be looking into. So in this case, I got quite a few emails, and 2 or 3 within days of each other, from people who'd had bad experiences with a Midrand based company called Lifestyle Home. They do have some physical premises, but they appear to do most of their business online.
Sure.
So in short, the complaints, had themes: delivery promises repeatedly broken, substandard or not as advertised goods when they do finally arrive, and then all of them said really poor or no communications. So, WhatsApps, emails, whatever, ignored, or mostly ignored. And then they were asking, they got to a point, excuse me, where they wanted this, okay, my goods aren't coming, I want a refund, and they weren't getting the refunds. So just briefly, a few of them. Savannah Bezaden had ordered from Lifestyle Home in late November.
Yes.
The expected delivery window was between late December and late January. She hadn't got the goods yet. Katlego Zwane paid 4,000 Rand for a bed and a headboard. Same delivery window. That hadn't happened. She didn't have her bed by late-ish February when she emailed me, and then she said Lifestyle Homes no longer responding to my emails or Instagram messages, and their phones are switched off. Tanya Preston, this was an interesting one. She placed an order for 3 items. It was outdoor furniture, all labeled as aluminium. So she ordered a 3-seat sofa and 2 chairs on the 28th of November. She paid just under 18,000 Rand for those 3. Sure. Yeah. After much nagging, they were finally delivered to her on Tuesday, the 17th of Feb. She said the order was incomplete and was not what advertised. Oh, she also ordered one of those sort of fire pit, but not a pit, a sort of standing up thing. She said the furniture was steel, not aluminium, which is a far inferior construction, and the fire table, that's what it's called. The fire table was far smaller than advertised, and she sent me pictures, with a measuring tape to show this is what it is, and there's the ad, there's the dimension of the ads. So she wanted a full refund, understandably. Natasha was one of many customers of this company that posted a negative review on Hello Peter, and she said what so many others have been saying. I'm disappointed. Level of communication is unacceptable. They don't answer calls. They don't respond timelessly to messages. I have to keep following up just to get basic updates on my order. Continuous delays. No one proactively communicates what is happening. At one point, they claimed they hadn't received my payment, which caused unnecessary stress and confusion, only to later confirm that they had actually received the funds. And so it went on. She said, I've now been waiting for my couch for 2 months with no clear delivery date and no proper communication. I have confirmed that the National Consumer Commission has also received a number of complaints, and they confirmed with me that they are investigating. So there's that. And then interestingly, so I had a number of people who complained to me directly saying that the fact that Pay Just Now, which is a form of buy now, pay later, they've partnered with a lot of retailers. Most of us would know them or have used them. They took the fact that Pay Just Now is one of the payment options offered by Lifestyle Home. They took that to mean
that they
took that to mean it's sort of seen as a form of endorsement, whether it should be or not. That's the reality. So I thought, okay, let me reach out to Pay Just Now. So I did. I spoke to their Chief Operations Officer, Dean Hyde, to say, have you also had complaints from customers of Lifestyle Home? And he said, yes, we've had 10 consumers who've reached out to us for assistance with Lifestyle Home. We've initiated an internal review. I've requested a consolidated report from the team leader to better understand the scope of the concerns. As a proactive measure, I've contacted the retailer directly and will be submitting all queries to my designated contact to ensure that the matters are addressed as a priority. So Lifestyle Home had my complaints and they had Pages Now's list of complaints. I imagine there would be some overlap there, but yeah. And that would explain why when I spoke to Katlejo, the woman who ordered the bed, she said that, suddenly the last week of Feb, between 10 and 11 at night, this truck pulled up and her goods were delivered. So there was some action there.
Was it the rights? Is
it
exactly what she delivered?
Yes,
and the quality?
I spoke to her on the phone and she said, that's resolved. So good for, at least that's one was sorted out. So I also then said to Pages Now, to Dean Hyde, I said, I wanted to know, before you on board with a company, what sort of due diligence do you do? What are the criteria? I said, do you investigate the levels of customer service before you sign them up? And the answer was not really. We look at risk assessment, we do business RTC checks, FICA verification, risk assessment, looking at registration type, recorded judgments, length of trading. While this process evaluates the operational legitimacy, Pages Now do not oversee a merchant's day-to-day service delivery operations. We will, however, intervene when we get customer complaints and bring it to the merchant's attention.
Yeah, surely,
so then I said,
surely that's a problem. That's a bit of a problem, because if they're onboarding and taking on these clients or partnering with businesses like this, then there must be some sort of accountability, no?
Yeah, that's what I thought, because the reality is that most consumers would see it as a form of endorsement, right? And it would give them a level of trust and they'd feel comfortable. And I put that to Pages Now. And the ops manager, Dean Hyde, said, well, we understand that consumers may associate the availability of established payment methods with a degree of trust, because this comes up in my work a lot, not just with Pages Now. But people say, but the payment options give people lend legitimacy in most consumers' eyes. He says, our presence on a merchant's website reflects that the merchant has completed our onboarding and compliance requirements. While this does not constitute an endorsement of the merchant's products, services, or operations, we do take reputational considerations seriously and are committed to reviewing and addressing any concerns that our customers might that may affect customers or our brand. So I put it to him that researching consumer sentiment about a company before taking a decision to team up with them would be appropriate as part of their onboarding process. And to his credit, he said, I agree completely and will implement same. So that took me down a road that I wasn't expecting, Komotso, but I think that the reality of what their checks involve should, to some extent, mirror what consumers think it to be, right? Because if they're just checking business registration and all those sort of corporate governance things, it doesn't speak to what the consumers are thinking. Well, they must be okay. They must give a good, reliable service. They must be good with communication if they've partnered up. So that's. I mean, they're a big company. They've teamed up with a lot of merchants. So I think that would, in terms of protecting consumers, and let's not forget it's World Consumer Rights Day coming up on Sunday the 15th. I just thought that was quite gratifying. Anyway, of course, bearing in mind we've got news coming up, yes. I actually got the contact details for the Chief Financial Officer from Pages Now, Yassine Mohammed. We initially had a brief phone call. He said he hadn't seen my email address, my media query that I'd sent him. But he started off by saying on the phone that complainants are demanding delivery before the delivery dates are given. I said, no, that's not true. Go and read the email, my media query. And I twice asked him to please respond to multiple claims from customers that they can't make reliable contact with the company, that staff members aren't answering their phones consistently, that emails and WhatsApps are not being answered. And well, he never addressed those communication claims, but he did say in an email that every customer who had raised concerns had had their matters addressed and resolved directly with them. That's a direct quote. So some resolutions we had Katlego's got to bed, but some were undertakings to do things, but days in the future, like but today was one of them and Monday was another, so we can't check whether that actually happened. And remember Tanya Preston with her aluminium, in inverted commas, outdoor furniture.
Steel, yeah, really steel.
Yeah, he says the furniture she ordered and paid for, he conceded that they weren't aluminium, but rather another metal. He says our products are manufactured using steel rather than aluminium. An error had unfortunately appeared on the website listing, which has since been corrected. He said the customer involved was contacted promptly and the matter has been resolved amicably. So I checked with her shortly before coming on air, actually, and she said, I did receive a phone call last Friday. A company rep also confirmed that it was a misprint. However, and she sent me screenshots, on their website today, they are still advertising these couches as aluminium, and that's just downright misleading.
Yes.
These goods, the couches and the fire table that she paid 18,000 Rand for, are still on my property and are showing signs of rust. Now, that's the problem with steel versus aluminium and outdoor furniture. Aluminium was never going to rust.
Yes.
I invested in it myself, but you know, where's your steel wood? She says the rep also confirmed to me that the full amount will be refunded to me. He then phoned me this Monday and said he'll come and pick up the furniture this week and will do the refund in due course. I refused and told him I'm not giving the furniture back until the refund shows as cleared in my account, and that I'm expecting it this week. He seems to be anyway, he keeps talking about it, speaking to his manager. She said, to date, I have not received any further feedback since Monday. I suspect it's just delaying tactics to pacify me. I do not regard this as resolved until the money reflects in my bank account, and rightly so. So that was definitely not an amicable resolution, certainly not one that has been acted upon yet. So that's a bit of a to be continued, but yeah, quite a story.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, I suppose also this it speaks to the importance of checking reviews, because it seems like there's a lot online that shows or that points to, you know, this company being a bit of a red flag, you know, or a no-go zone. Hello, Peter.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that people are also writing reviews on other platforms.
Yeah. To be fair, all companies across the spectrum of levels of customer service are going to receive negative reviews on a platform like Hello Peter. It's just par for the course. And I always say, you know, you judge a company on how it responds to a problem, not on the problem itself. But if you see a pattern of a whole lot saying the same things, and particularly when the problem is compounded by lack of communication, that's a double whammy, then take that seriously. And also if you see if the reviews are only ever 1 or 5 star, because sometimes, and I'm not saying that was the case in this particular company, but sometimes if there's a lot of 5-star that completely contradict what the complainants are saying, it could be, you know, planted, not authentic 5-star reviews. And then the thing to do is to get hold of Hello Peter and ask them to investigate. And then they will go to that poster and say, please send us an invoice so that we can see you're an actual customer. And if they get no response, they remove that 5-star review. So it's a very good customer service to do for other complainants, for other consumers who are checking out reviews, to get the false 5-star ones taken off the site. And it just some of them will check out, but if they don't respond, if they don't then send that invoice, they will take it that it was not a genuine post and they remove it.
All right, we're speaking to Wendy Nola. She's a consumer journalist, consumer ninja, and she's talking us through those online purchases. More after the headlines. Bali Zamini, good afternoon.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good afternoon. Some residents in Coronationville have told EWN they want their children protected from joining gangs. At the BK Reid flats, parents say gangs are being formed by teenagers and joined by children, some as young as 9 years old. But there has been mixed reaction from communities where soldiers hit the ground yesterday. Dozens of soldiers supported by police embarked on raids in Eldorado Park, Rivoli, Westbury, as well as Sophia Town. The trial of alleged crime boss Katiso KT Molefe will begin in October. Molefe and his 3 co-accused appeared before the Johannesburg High Court today for pre-trial hearing. They face 35 charges in connection with the 2022 killing of Oupa Sefoka, popularly known as DJ Sambodi. Police allege that Molefe ordered a hit on Sefoka, who was gunned down in Woodmead. And family and friends of late COPE leader Mosiuoa Lekota have gathered to celebrate his life at a memorial service in Bloemfontein. Lekota passed away at a hospital in Johannesburg last week. Some COPE supporters and members of the public are also in attendance. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, in the city of Tshwane in Lombardy Estate, we have bumper traffic. This is on Graham Linwood Road between Boschkop and Solomon Mahlangu. Irene, also traffic a bit sluggish, approaching the intersection of Nalmapius Drive and Main Road in Brakpan. We still have those roadworks causing delays on the N17 eastbound approaching Carnival City. Rand Park Ridge, traffic lights still not working at Bearsnooth and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Part of the 702 family.
My name is Iwet Machinya Timbi. I like this station for I've listened over the years since its inception. 702 is the best. There's no other radio station that can beat 702. Hala, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
For over 30 years, Bid Air Cargo has been keeping South Africa's supply chain moving, giving our economy the dedicated cargo capacity it needs. Whether it's really, really urgent, oversized, or hazardous, when a shipment has to fly, we make it happen. Linking all major airports with reliable freighter services, our promise delivers. Bid Air Cargo. Every kilo counts.
Remember when you had to hurry up and wait, and cars could only run on fossil fuels? Well, hurry up and catch up. You don't need diesel power, you just need a second electric motor. With Volvo plug-in hybrids, you can drive electric in the city, switch to fuel for the long haul, or combine both when you want it all. So what are you waiting for? You're late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
It's 26 minutes to 3, and between 3 and 6 p.m., it's 702 Drive with Dr. John Perlman. He's in studio. Dr. John, what can we expect on the show this afternoon?
Yeah, good afternoon, Khomotso, and very good afternoon to all of our listeners. So there are interesting things coming up throughout the day, and this afternoon is no exception. So at the South African Football Association, they are changing, we understand, the system that is used to calculate what bonuses players should get. And all the reports are suggesting this means the players are going to get less. That's not a great recipe for a happy camp ahead of a World Cup. We'll look at that in more detail after 4 o'clock. We'll hear from Lindsay Dendlinger. If you look up at a TV screen, you'll see President Cyril Ramaphosa is answering questions in Parliament. Question time, always interesting. He's had some things to say about the Madlanga Commission that we need to pay attention to. Lindsay with us at 4:20 with a full update on that. Speaking of the Madlanga Commission, one of the generals involved in the section dealing with organized crime, Major General Richard Shibiri, has been facing some very close questioning. Thabiso Goba is on that. He'll be with us after 5 o'clock. Law and Order, SANDF out in Westbury yesterday. Jabulile Mbata went there today. So it's one of the questions that has been asked a lot is how sustainable this is. Is it kind of performative? One day of action and activity, and the next day people are left back in the situation they were in. So good day to do a day after story and hear what Jabulile has to say, and we'll have plenty more besides.
You know what I found odd about yesterday and the raids? It's the fact that it seemed as though it was being announced that they were moving to another area. And I just kept on thinking, isn't this going to alert the criminals that we're coming for? I saw with the move from Westbury yesterday to Sophia Town, there was some sort of an announcement to say, okay, now we're moving to Sophia Town. If I was a gang leader in Sophia Town, I would have fled a long time ago.
Yeah. So we had a listener actually quite critical of us saying, well, why are we announcing where they're going? And, the answer to that is we didn't. Well, we did, but we relayed exactly what you've described. I think this thing works on two levels. I don't think the SANDF's role will be to do surprise raids on anybody. I think this is day one, and I'm not, suggesting we give them limitless rope, but I'm not judging it quickly yet because I'm not quite sure what their role is. I think it's partly performative. I think it's a demonstration of strength. But then I think when the actual operations, I've heard the term used for the army as a force multiplier. So things the police would ordinarily do, like set up roadblocks, for example, they would do that kind of thing to then allow the police to have more men and women actually doing the kind of work that you're describing, which is more specific policing work. And I don't know if that's how it'll play out, but that's what I'm looking for.
All right. Well, more on that on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman between 3 and 6 p.m.
702.
Nola knows.
It's our consumer feature, and of course we're speaking to Wendy Nola, the consumer ninja, consumer journalist. She's talking to us today about online purchases. Wendy, I've been seeing that we've been getting a number of voice notes and WhatsApp. So maybe let's take a voice note, someone who's got a question around online purchases.
Hi, 702. This is Kamo here from Johannesburg. I just have a question regarding this online purchasing. I've had a situation where I purchased an item, and they delivered something that was completely different. It's not like I ordered Fanta and they brought Coke. It's like I ordered Fanta and they brought Handy Andy, and it took a back and forth for 2 months basically, for me to basically get a refund and all of that. Because there was a back and forth. No, the QR codes, everything is fine. You sign for the delivery and all of that. And I said, yes, I signed for the delivery, but I don't open the box while the guy is standing there. I open it when he's gone inside my house, and only then is when I saw that no, this is the wrong item. So yeah, it's a challenge. Maybe these companies should let these people who deliver stand there and you open the box so that if it's the wrong item, then you give it to them back immediately before you sign anything.
Yeah, that's rather odd.
That is,
because when people sign, Wendy, when you sign, you're not necessarily signing to say what's inside the box is the correct.
But
item.
they'll tell you that's what you're signing.
You're signing to say that you received it.
Well, in many cases. So, yeah, it's not saying everything's fine. So, ideally, you should do exactly what our listener is suggesting there, well, he's saying we don't do it, but you should to protect yourself. So then you can take a picture and say this is what it is. The courier person normally won't take it back because that's not their job. But then at least you've got proof. Here I am. Here he is. Here's what's in the box. I've got a lot of complaints of completely wrong items. I've done whole shows on it. It's normally one of those marketplace sellers, so it'll be a Macro or a Take-A-Lot where they have, various traders. You don't know who they are. You just think Take-A-Lot, but it's, they're third-party sellers. And it's often, it seems to be that all the cases that I've dealt with of completely wrong object have been marketplace vendors. So there's that. But a second prize is if you're not going to stand at your front door in your driveway or whatever and open while the guy is there waiting for you to do it, you should, as soon as you get inside. Look, sometimes it's delivered to a family member and you only get it when you get home from work or whatever the case may be. But as soon as you can, open the box, and if it's damaged or wrong or whatever, log a complaint immediately with photos. The longer you wait, the more the suspicion falls on, well, we did deliver the right thing and now you've swapped it and you're trying to pull a fast one. But if you do it immediately, the balance of probabilities, as the lawyers like to say, rests with you that you opened the box and it was the wrong thing. So, as I always say, we have these expensive smartphones on us. We pay a fortune for them. Use the camera and the video to collect evidence from yourself, like as a default, as your absolute habit that you fall to. As soon as something's going wrong, is collect that evidence, and then it's much easier for you to fight your case, because you've got hard evidence. But so always open a parcel sooner rather than later.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Megan, you're in Johannesburg. You've also bought something online. Thank you so much for your call. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. Yes, I work for an MPO, and we bought our social worker a cell phone online in October 2024, which she's used easily and happily for up to now. Then, on the 12th of February, it suddenly got blocked and blacklisted. And I don't know, there's a whole long story. Everybody's taken it to MTN and Vodacom. It's a Vodacom number we've used with it. We've been to MTN, we've been to Vodacom in Eastgate, and they can't help us. So I went back to our online supplier, who did come back to us, but said that we are now out of the warranty period.
I knew you were going to say that. So that doesn't make any difference, because the expectation was not that she would pay, she would pay full price for a phone that wouldn't even last. What's just over? Say it's 18 months down the line, and now it's blocked. I mean, that she's absolutely entitled to a full refund. So you are welcome to email me, Megan. I'm about to go on 2 weeks leave. I must just warn the listeners. I very seldom take leave, let alone ever 2 weeks, but I'm leaving the country without my laptop. I'm having a proper break, family thing, down under. And so there will be some delay in my complaints handling. I'm just, anyway. But this is something that I'd like to take up because it happens quite often, and it infuriates me that the retailers won't take responsibility for it. I agree with it's not the network's problem. It's the person that sold it to you. It's a problem. I took up a case, one of the worst cases I've ever taken up, involved someone who bought a laptop from Take-A-Lot, one of their suppliers, and he'd used it for about the same amount of time as your employee, and then the screen went black and said this laptop was stolen from the department of, I forget which government department it was, phone or whatever, and it turned out to be the case. And he had to fight for a refund until I got involved, and even then they kept changing their tune, and he finally got his money back. But suffice to say, this is an issue that I feel quite strongly about. So if you pop me an email, the sooner the better, before I fly out of the country on Monday, I can at least perhaps send a query off and get that in motion.
I have emailed you. Is there a better email address.
Have you? I'm sorry. I'm just one person, and won't you do me this? Then just resend it. Just resend it so it pops up at the top of my thing again.
I will.
All right, Megan. Shame all the
Thank
best.
you, Megan.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, it's really horrible when that happens because it's there's this back and forth. Now you don't really know, where to go.
Where to go, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're taking more of your calls. 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Let's take another voice note.
Hi, Wendy. It's Veronica from Spraidview. I had a similar problem, but it's not the same company. The company was based in Midrand. I paid 10,000 rand deposit for the lounge suite, but I never got it. The people kept on changing their names. They moved. My daughter was checking for me. Every time she checked, the name changed. She doesn't even see the company on there anymore. So I thought maybe this is the same company. Unfortunately, that one is owned by a black woman. So I don't know if maybe
it's not the
people
same
remember
company.
that. I can't even remember the name of the thing. But I did send a query to you 3 years ago, but I never got any
A few years ago.
response. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I need a team of 10, and I don't have it's not possible, unfortunately. But yeah, these I personally wouldn't buy furniture online, to be honest. I mean, it's not something you can just send back within that 7-day period that ECTA, the Electronic Communications and Transaction Act, gives us, because now to courier back is a fortune, right? And yeah, I think furniture is particularly something you need to touch the fabric, sit on it. I learned something really interesting today, thanks to TikTok. One of these a furniture professional, American guy, would apply here, and he said just a 5-minute check you can do. So he says you lift up the one corner, the front leg of the sofa, and you lift it up, I don't know, about 15, 20 centimeters. And he says if the other front leg lifts up, then that's a well-made, properly constructed sofa.
Okay.
If it stays on the ground, then it's made with like pallet chipboard, kind of not very good quality. So when I get home, I'm certainly going to be checking mine. But he said, I shared it on my TikTok if anyone wants to check it out. But that was basically the tip, and I thought, well, you learn something every day. I thought that was a great way to check. But yeah, that's something you could do in the shop.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that when you buy online. So
no, exactly.
All right, let's get through some of the calls. I do see all your calls coming in. Ndombi, you're in Soweto. Good afternoon. Please go ahead.
Afternoon, Khomotso and Wendy. I would like Wendy to assist me with a very reputable bank that is frustrating me in unwinding my late parents' estate. So I recently lost my mom, but my dad predeceased her about 3 years ago. So because this bank is so technologically savvy, I convinced my mom when I was assisting her with my late dad's late estate to open a late estate account with them. So ultimately we finished unwinding the estate, and then mom left the money in the late estate account even when it was finalized. So then came part 2, my mom got deceased, and I went to the same bank, opened a late estate account for her. So I started the process last year, October, on the 23rd to be precise. I know it takes time, so they only got back to me on the 8th of January, and some of the funds were paid by the 29th of January. But my father's late estate monies were still there. So I went back to them that, hey, what is the process? Why are you not paying this money that is in the same bank into the other account? So I think after 4 or 5 days of making follow-ups, they told me that I needed a letter of executorship to be appointed as my dad's executor, which I did. So my gripe with them was the recently issued letter of executorship has a due date by when the estate needs to be unwinded. And everyone who has dealt with deceased estates know that there are unexpected costs that comes with dealing with a deceased estate. So I asked them that, seeing that you did not tell me about the person who handled this profile, could see that my dad's latest estate account is there, and you were not forthcoming from October to January. I still have to go to the master and advertise for 30 days. Can you kindly speed up your turnaround time in terms of transferring my dad's account into my late mom, because it was an oversight from your side. So they are not forthcoming. They are not even committing to acknowledging that they have frustrated me with the process. So meanwhile, if this process takes longer, I still have to pay the lawyers, pay the costs at home, and I have my own costs. So I wish to escalate with Wendy to see how she can help me, because if they are going to take 3 months again, then it would have been too late to have concluded my mom's estate, because the estates are interlinked.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is a complicated one, but certainly the failure to inform you adequately and timeously is a problem. I know that there are huge delays with the master, but it doesn't appear that that's actually the issue in this case. It's more administration matter. So all I can suggest is, Ntombi, do you already have a written account of the problem? Is it written down somewhere,
Yes,
maybe in
I
your
do.
emails with the bank? So that
Yes,
if you
I
could
do.
just forward that to me. Yeah.
Yes,
and
I've
I'll
already
jog them to say.
escalated. Yes, my challenge
Okay.
is I've already went inside the bank and escalated it with the branch that I interact with. So normally deceased estates are remote, so you can't see the people. So you will speak with one consultant today, tomorrow you relate a new story to a new one.
That
but
is
their
a problem.
system
Yeah.
can tell them what happened.
Yes.
And I've been very detailed in communicating to say, you've sent me to the master. I've been verified. The only thing that is left is for them to take dad's late estate money, combine it to mom's one, so that I can go then to SARS and still do the master and advertising. So my glitch is it's an in-house commitment that they just need to do to me to say, okay, we see this could have been concluded by when. So no one takes responsibility.
Yes,
and no one
I
is,
hear you.
Sure.
Let me. That's the kind of thing I can help with. So get me that in writing. State what you need to happen very clearly and by when, and I will get an email off to the media department, who then has got access to the decision makers, and hopefully we get that sorted out for you.
Okay.
But get it quickly, because I'm like on leave from tomorrow for 2 weeks.
That's Ntombi in Soweto. I hope that will be helpful for you, and I hope that I wish you all the very best. It sounds horrible to go through that after
It does
losing.
sound, and you're still grieving. Yeah, no, it's a terrible
Yes.
process.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's go to Boxburg. So you've been holding for a while. Thank you so much for your patience. Go ahead.
Hi, Homotso. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
So mine is just a matter with a small firm of attorneys, right? I signed an OTP to buy a 2-bedroom flat for 600,000. Fast forward, I'm buying it through an agent. Yes, they are connected to attorneys who will help you with the transfer. Taken to those attorneys. Those attorneys, then when it get there, the current owner need to get settlement from a bank. Only to find out when it goes to the bank, they told him that you've got a shortfall of 40,000 and I've only signed for 600,000. I told the guys to say, look, if that's the case, you should have informed me way in advance before advertising the unit for 600,000. I can't continue with the 640 because I can't afford. Fine, and now I'm telling them to say, look, if that's the case, I need to pull out of the deal. These attorneys are now pulling out this to say, unfortunately, they can't refund me. I'll have to find another property. That property will have to be done through them. So I've been fighting with them to say, guys, it's not my fault, but you need to take it up with the agent and the estate agent companies to pay you the wasteful expenditure or something like that? Because I know
Absolutely.
that once you open an account, it's not my problem. I'm prepared to go ahead. It's just that now the agent didn't do the...
Right. So you've signed an offer to purchase, which would usually be binding, except that they've changed to very material term, and that is your 600,000 purchase price has suddenly become 640 because... So they're wanting you to pay the current owner's shortfall with the bank, which is ridiculous. How does the seller not know what he still owes the bank on the property? It's really bizarre, that to me. But because a very material term, and that is the most material term, I think the purchase price has changed, that deal automatically should fall away. And as you say, whatever wasted time they've spent on the deal, they need to claw from the agent, because they didn't do their due diligence, obviously, in the matter. This is ridiculous. So what I suggest you do for now is send a version of what we've just discussed here to the attorneys, copy it to the agents. You're welcome to state what I've said, but this is a breach of the agreement because of material term, and that you are under no circumstances are going to be forced to pay any... The deal basically falls away. Is that what you... I mean, that's actually what's happened here, right? You can't afford to pay 640,000 rand for the flat. So you need to be extricated. You haven't paid a deposit or anything, have you?
I have paid the transfer cost. Mind you, this thing has been running from December. All along, it's just a run around from the attorneys, run around to pay for the bank and what's on. So I don't know. I know of a 90 days notice, but I was not properly informed about all those.
No, you must get that money back. It's sitting in the attorney's trust account. The deal has fallen away by virtue of the fact what you agreed to is not what is going to be adhered to anymore. And anyway, the transfer costs are based on the 600,000, not the 640 anyway. So the deal is just a mess. They must cancel it, give you back your deposit, and you must be free then to go and explore another purchase. But none of this should be your problem.
And my refund will only be 7,000. So I'm forfeiting the 16,000.
No, based on a mistake of theirs. I've never heard of... Please send that to me with the details. I think they're relying on you. They're just bullying you. There's no ways... You didn't... The deal has changed. You can't be expected to pay more than what you agreed to in the agreement. So the agreement falls away. They breaching it.
Maybe just give me your email, because I've done everything. The emails you are talking about today.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do, Sfiso, is so Wendy will give out her email, as she usually does at the end of the show, and then hopefully you'll be able to share that with her before she goes on holiday. All right, that's all we have time for right now. Wendy, just quickly, where do people find you? I also know that you're on TikTok now, which is amazing.
Yes, I've finally... got with the program.
Yes.
So I have a nice complaint form on my website, which is wendynola.coza, or the email directly is consumer@nola.co.za. I prefer the form then, because it prompts people to give me the information that I need.
All right. Okay. So I hope that all the people that need help will get in touch with you soon.
And realize that I've got a 2-week break.
Yes.
And I'll do my best.
A much-deserved break. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Please enjoy your time away, and hope to chat soon.
When you buy a quality pre-owned car from Motor Select, you know it's in good condition with full service history and has some cool features. Buy yours from now until this Saturday and you'll also get something extra, like up to 70,000 Rand cash back. So don't just buy a car, buy one that gives you something extra. Get to any participating Motor Select or visit motorselect.co.za. T's and C's apply.
Are corporate strategy sessions, family commitments, and fitness pursuits draining you? Stay on top of your game with the world's #1 nutritional supplement drink, Ensure Gold. With HMB and triple protein, it provides 20 essential vitamins and minerals and is clinically proven to boost energy, build muscle, and support immunity. Why settle when you can go for gold? Get the daily strength you need from Ensure Gold. Available at all leading supermarkets and pharmacies. Ensure, the strength experts.
That does bring us to the end of the show. This was 7:02 Afternoons. My name is Modise. I've been in for Relebogile Mabotja. Back with you tomorrow between 1 and 3. For now, though, it is 3 o'clock. Time for Drive with John Perman and Eyewitness News. Goodbye.
This is EWN.
Ramaphosa justifies not releasing Madlanga interim report, and the state is ready for the trial against Katiso KT Molefe. Good afternoon. I'm